New information tonight about Roy's condition and the fate of dozens of people who worked for the Siegfried and Roy show.
And you know about the Valley's No Child Left Behind numbers. Tonight, see how the entire state is doing.
Plus, watch your language. What you can and can't say on TV is changing.
You're watching the news leader, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
A week after the incident on the stage of the Siegfried and Roy show, crew members from the show found out what was going to happen to them. That move has upset dozens of people working at another show. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Gary and Paula are off tonight.
We'll show you what investigators are doing to find the videotape of the Siegfried and Roy show the night of the Tiger incident. But we start with Casey Roebuck live at the Mirage with the very latest on Roy's condition and what will happen to the show's crew.
Well, Mirage officials tell us that Roy remains in critical yet stable condition at UMC tonight, but they also tell us that he is showing small signs of improvement. Now back here at the the Mirage, 202 employees got sad news that they had been expecting since Roy was injured, that they were fired.
Said they're just terminated, that's it. So what can we do? What can we do?
We have no recourse whatsoever about it on anything. We're just flat terminated. That's it.
202 crew members of Siegfried and Roy's show got the news they had been expecting since Roy was injured, that they were officially fired from MGM Mirage. But 6 other employees of the Danny Gans Theater were shocked to find out that they too were fired.
I mean, all of us at Danny Gans, we felt extremely bad for Roy and for all the workers there, but we never expected to all of a sudden be out of work ourselves.
The way in which the contract provides in the event that a show should terminate is that the entire group now becomes one group and the positions are given out based on seniority.
That means that short-term Danny Gann employees were also given the axe.
We had to explain to some of our colleagues that even though they may be working in the Danny Gans Theater, they did not have the seniority to allow them to continue.
Those who were let go will be paid anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months salary based on how long they were with the company. MGM Mirage also says they will do their best to try and place other employees in other positions.
It won't be the same. We had a good working relationship here at the Danny Gans Theater, and in a matter of one day, one afternoon, I get a call and I'm terminated.
Now, all those who were fired will be able to reapply for positions within the company, and then they'll, of course, have to wait for those positions to come open. MGM Mirage tells us they are planning a job workshop for those people coming up next week. That is the latest from here. Back to you.
Tough news. All right, Casey Roebuck reporting live.
Federal investigators looking into Roy Horn's accident could learn a lot from a single piece of evidence.
But there's some confusion tonight if that piece of evidence even exists. Brian Allen joins us from the Mirage and continues our live team coverage. Brian.
Well, Paula, good evening. It is a division of the United States Department of Agriculture which is heading up this investigation, and a spokesperson tells Eyewitness News they want to see a videotape of last week's incident if one exists, but they don't know if there is one or not.
Is there a videotape of the incident which injured Roy Horn? We know there is a videotaping system in place to record Siegfried and Roy shows. Corey Erskine is a former acrobat in their show. She was there when Roy was injured.
It's just a video camera, and they stick it in the back of the house and they videotape whatever they need to, but it's not every night.
USDA investigators know of the taping system and they're trying to find a tape.
During an investigation, if we learn that there is a recording or still photographs or video or audio, of course that would be something we would seek out.
But Corey Erskine says no one was scheduled to operate the video camera last Friday night.
As far as I know, I don't believe there's a videotape of anything that happened.
Las Vegas casino developer Steve Wynn tells a cable news program he has seen a videotape of the attack.
The cat did not attack him. The cat picked him up. There was not a speck of violence in any of this. There was no shaking, there was no biting, there was no use of full strength. Roy's neck would have been snapped like a twig.
USDA investigators have called in specialists to help them determine just what happened last Friday night.
Veterinarians, animal care specialists, regulation specialists, and they can tap them if needed.
They're also interviewing witnesses. Corey Erskine hasn't been contacted, but knows what she'll say if she is.
There wasn't an audience member that was acting crazy, and Roy wasn't wearing different cologne. I mean, everything was the same as it has been for 30 years.
Late this afternoon, we were able to speak with Mirage spokesperson Alan Feldman. He tells us that there is a tape of last week's incident. one tape. It is secured and locked away. And Alan Feldman says any state or federal agency with jurisdiction to investigate last week's incident is free to have a look at it. So, Polly and Dave, you can imagine the USDA will come calling fairly soon.
So, we learned late that there is, in fact, a tape.
There is a tape.
All right. Brian Allen reporting live.
Well, the entire world has responded to what happened to Roy Horn. The Cincinnati Zoo created a giant get well card for him, a 7-foot card set up outside an exhibit at the zoo. Of course, the zoo's been exchanging animals with Siegfried and Roy for 20 years. This Sunday, too, a candlelight vigil is scheduled at University Medical Center at 8 o'clock for people wanting to show support for Roy.
Today, the State Department of Education released the list of Nevada schools that qualified for the No Child Left Behind watch list. They also announced that after reevaluating the criteria, no Nevada school will be designated as dangerous. Now educators are questioning just who sets the criteria that puts a school on these lists. Channel 8 Eyewitness News anchor Lisa Johnson reports.
It is very complex.
The Nevada Department of Education explained in this video teleconference that the criteria for schools not meeting guidelines of the No Child Left Behind Act is confusing. 9 schools were originally listed as persistently dangerous, but after comparing our criteria to other states, those 9 schools were taken off the list. The criteria for such a list is of major concern. The Clark County Education Association says they've received complaints from teachers about our state's guidelines.
Teachers feel that they're being underpaid and overworked. With everything that they have to do, they feel like they're going to probably be blamed for their school not meeting the average daily progress.
The vice president of the Education Association says schools are basically being mandated to meet federal and state guidelines, but not being given the funding to hire more teachers or provide them with better resources. The superintendent of the state's education department says he understands teacher concerns.
All schools in Nevada face the labeling, so to speak, of being on a watch list or being called in needs of improvement, but yet less than 25% of the schools actually receive any additional funding from the federal government to deal with these issues.
One of Clark County's assistant superintendents who helped shape our state standards says most of the guidelines and funding avenues were set up by the federal government, but the state did choose a tougher progress test and smaller subgroups than most other states.
The smaller the subgroup, the good news is that we can be more focused in our attention and develop the instructional strategies for smaller groups and be able to point out the needs of each of our subgroups. The negative to that is more of our schools will be on the AYP list than in other states.
Dr. Carlene Lee says while in the short term, higher standards will make the No Child Left Behind requirements tougher on our teachers, in the long run, our students will be among the brightest in the nation. Lisa Johnson, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
The Clark County Education Association tells us they've taken their complaints to state lawmakers. The No Child Left Behind Act is only in its first year, and some are already questioning whether the program is receiving enough funding in order to achieve its ultimate goal, that is to ensure kids learn and pass proficiency tests. Channel 8 Eyewitness News is live. Reporter Atle Erlingsson is at Estes McDaniel Elementary School in Henderson, where Senator Harry Reid is holding a community education meeting. Atle.
Yeah, Paulie, Senator Reid says he supports the overall goals of the program, but says the way it is designed with limited funding, it is a failure. Now, on the other end of the political spectrum, Republican Congressman John Porter, who says give the program a chance. He says even though some schools are specifically highlighted on this year's watch list, it is in many ways a good thing.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That puts a spotlight on the problem, and if it's a shortage of funding, it should be addressed. If it's the problem with the district, that should be addressed. But I think the fact that it's bringing it to light is very healthy, and it helps determine the real problem so we can get to the bottom of it as fast as possible.
The Leave No Child Behind Act is leaving lots of children behind because we simply are not giving the resources to local school districts that they need. We have unfunded mandates.
So money, 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 that's what this all boils down to. Both Reid and Porter say they have been contacted by educators concerned about the lack of money being pumped into Southern Nevada schools. They say they are now working on the national level to try and get more money into Clark County to help school districts achieve the education requirements set forth in that act. Back to you in the studio.
Let's hope it helps. All right. Atle Erlingsson reporting live. Thanks.
Well, there are a lot of things available on the internet, but some may not be legal. 8 on Your Side will show you how to tell if the handicap placard hanging in the car next to you is for real.
And listen carefully. What people can say on TV and radio is changing. Find out which dirty words you might start to hear.
I'm Kevin Janison in the Channel 8 Weather Office. We have shocking weather developments. Autumn might actually be in the forecast. You'll want to stay tuned for that. You'll like the numbers. Full look at the 7-day and weekend forecasts are upcoming, but as we head to break, real-time conditions near Washington and Jones. We'll be right back.
Visit KLASTV.com for more health news, information, and a listing of our Eye on Health professionals.
Handicap parking spaces are only available through the DMV to those, or placards rather, to those who need them. But until this week, handicap parking placards were available to anyone online. 8 on Your Side consumer editor Michael Geeser tells us about a local business that appears to have gone under.
Injuries from the Vietnam War left Raymond Page with several disabilities. To make life easier, he has a handicap parking placard. Until this past week, anyone with a computer could get one from a local business.
Well, it'd be definitely disadvantage to the people that are handicapped and that need the space.
Having a handicap placard or license plate depends on your level of disability. But either way, you need approval from a licensed physician.
And only one agency can issue the placards, the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles.
It's very similar to the fake ID scams where you get a fake ID that says this is not an official government document on it.
Malone says the DMV is aware of the fake placards but is unable to do anything about it because the business that created them included a disclaimer on its website.
On the website, they did say that the placard number 1 is not an official Nevada placard and it's not legal for use in Nevada. The other thing they said was that it's up to the customer to determine whether it's legal in any other jurisdiction.
The website is no longer online and the company isn't listed in the phone book. But for unsuspecting consumers, there is one obvious difference between the two. The fake one is on the left, the real one is on the right, with a Nevada seal located on the bottom. Michael Geeser, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
And 8 on Your Side says there's another major difference between the real one and the fake one. A handicap placard issued by the DMV is free. The one that was online cost $39.99.
Well, some of the thousands of wild horses that roam Nevada are up for adoption this weekend. The Bureau of Land Management is holding a wild horse and burro show and adoption this weekend. Several colts, fillies, mares, and studs from different areas around Nevada will be available. Silent bids for all horses will start at $125. You have to be pre-approved, though, to bid on a horse. The show and adoption will take place tomorrow and Sunday at the Henderson Saddle Association. That's near Sunset and Boulder Highway. Starts at 8 a.m. And what you hear on TV could include more swear words. Find out what's fouling up the language on TV and radio.
Plus a drug to break one addiction. See how taking a pill could stop problem gamblers.
Well, a 4-letter word banned from the airwaves is now allowed on television and radio following an FCC ruling earlier this week. Channel 8 Eyewitness News reporter Jon Summers tells us what effect that may have here in the Valley.
Fortunately, sir.
Protective parents are always on guard for what children see and hear on the airwaves. Now, thanks to a case involving U2 singer Bono, you may have to watch a little more closely. During a recent live broadcast, Bono used the F word after winning an award. Despite 200 viewer complaints, the FCC ruled this week that one of the 7 dirty words is okay on air, sometimes. The ruling essentially allows broadcasters to use the F word on the air as long as it doesn't refer to sex, but programmers we talked to said they won't push it.
This is 98.5 KLUC Las Vegas, is #1 hit music station.
The policy that we had in place before is going to stay the same policy.
KLUC Programming Director Kat Thomas says it's all about respecting the listener.
Even when we get into certain topics on the morning show, if it's something that's a little more adult in content, we make sure that we, say, hey, tune out for 10 minutes if you have kids in the car with you.
70,000 local teens listen to KLUC every week. Thomas says as a father, he knows what parents don't want their kids to hear. He said all local Infinity-owned radio stations, including Extreme Radio, will follow the same guidelines.
A good radio station is a mirror of the audience, so as long as it's not acceptable with them, then it wouldn't be acceptable on the air because we'd just drive our listeners away.
But Thomas is glad the FCC is leaving it up to people like him because he says station management can do a better job of managing its content than anyone else. Jon Summers, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
The word in question is also in the lyrics on some of the songs played on local radio, and Thomas says listeners can still expect those words to be edited out of the music.
In tonight's Eye on Health, the chances of preventing the recurrence of breast cancer may have improved. A local surgeon tells us that findings from a clinical trial look promising. The drug letrozole, also known as Femara, has been used for several years as an alternative treatment to tamoxifen. But now doctors are prescribing it as a form of prevention for breast cancer survivors. Las Vegas breast care surgeon Theodore Petrush says the results are encouraging.
I think it's outstanding. It gives us another weapon in the treatment or prevention of cancer of the breast, which is the second most common cancer in women.
Femara would be recommended following a patient's 5-year run with tamoxifen. We have more information at our website, KLASTV.com. And October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Finding cancer early is the key to stopping the disease. That's why every woman should do a self-breast exam. To get a free Buddy Check 8 self-breast exam kit, call the number on your screen. Well, we all know just how much is made in gambling every year. It's the engine that drives Southern Nevada's economy. But when gambling becomes a problem, everyone loses. In tonight's Medical Breakthroughs report, Paula Francis shows us the new treatment that could help gamblers stop the addiction.
Pulsing music, flashing lights, and the elusive jackpots. That's what keeps gamblers coming back.
I saw these people that were acting like zombies in front of these slot machines, just totally mesmerized by the video interactivity of those slot machines, and winning enough to keep them coming back, and that was what was happening to me.
Jeff, who doesn't want to be identified, was gambling 5 times a week, losing about $400 each time. That's $2,000 a week.
Drive 100 miles to out of my way to go to a casino, spend the night, come back at 3 in the morning totally drained, and have business meetings the next morning.
Dr. Sukwon Kim treats people like Jeff. He studies the connection between cravings and behavior.
Traditionally, when people receive treatments, they may be able to refrain their behaviors, but they still had to live with their craving.
Dr. Kim says naltrexone, a drug already approved to treat alcoholics, stops cravings and therefore stops the gambling urges. Jeff says the drug changed his life.
It's changed to help my relationship with my wife because I'm not lying to her anymore or covering things up and making excuses and draining our bank account. So it's changed it in many, many ways.
And that's something he can bet on. Paula Francis, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Experts also say there's a 20 times higher suicide rate among pathological gamblers than among the general population. Dr. Kim's study is expected to last about 2.5 years. He says the drug can cause liver problems if mixed with other drugs, such as over-the-counter painkillers. For more information, send us a self-addressed stamped envelope, write gambling on the front, and you can find more information on our website.
Well, things did cool down a bit as we went on through the week. Today's, 80s verging on 90. Did we get up to 90 today?
89. Oh. You, Dave, have some very astute skin.
Yeah, right. Lucky guess.
We only made it into the 80s today, but we are going to cool it down even more. Maybe not as noticeable over the weekend, but certainly by early next week. We do have a great evening. Friday night in the Las Vegas Valley. Dusk has approached, and check out this view from our camera out at the Lake Mead Marina. Looking good out there. It'll be dark here pretty soon, the way these days are getting shorter and shorter. Out at Zion Canyon, if you're looking for a little weekend getaway up at Zion National Park, boy, they had a gorgeous day today. A few clouds over the rocks, lots of shadows as well. Temperatures comfortably into the 80s for a good chunk of the afternoon, and they'll be like that, although start getting a little cooler each day. Come on home for real-time neighborhood weather. Block off Water Street. Downtown Henderson only at 80 degrees right now. Alta and Anasazi across the valley on the west side of town is also at 80. Sahara and I-15 checks in at 81. And up in Pioche at about 6,000 feet in Lincoln County, 61 degrees and only a 6-mile-per-hour breeze. Here are the peak wind gusts, and not that strong on the east side of town, but we did have a few breezes pick up over southern and western edges of the valley. In fact, there was a gust to 35 miles per hour down near Rhodes Ranch. Outside the valley, the strongest gust was up in Tonopah. That one to 43 miles per hour, and there was a gust to 26 up in Mesquite. High temperatures still sizzling for the middle of October. 97 on the Strip, 95 down near Las Vegas Boulevard and the St. Rose Parkway. But as you increase your elevation, you did decrease your temperature. Upper 80s is where the mercury stopped there. Meanwhile, outside the valley, 63 on the mountain, 82 in Pahrump. Death Valley, the only location with triple digits, and we might not, well, we might see it tomorrow. Barely, if at all. The lake topped out at 95. At McCarran today, the mercury maxed out at 89, 5 degrees above normal. 73 was the morning low. That, by the way, is a record for the warmest low temperature ever recorded on this date. Air quality snuck into the moderate category this afternoon. The sun setting, even as we speak. It's dusk out there. Showers in the southeast, stronger thunderstorms in parts of the southwest. In fact, there is a weak front that sliced all the way through southern Nevada. That's what helped get us down into the 80s. It combined with that moisture coming out of the tropics and produced those strong thunderstorms, although they were isolated but still strong in northern Arizona. Now we'll have weak high pressure over the weekend, so loads of sunshine this weekend. The next front will actually do the same thing. It'll go over the top of us, and we'll get the tail way back here with a few clouds by Tuesday, and that'll knock the temperatures down yet another notch. And that's what you have to look forward to as you head back to work early next week. Tonight, under a moonlit sky, look for a low temperature of 65 degrees. Then tomorrow, back up to about 88 or so for a high temperature. Some neighborhoods may make it into the lower 90s. 7-day forecast will scrape the 90 degree mark on Sunday, and then as that second front winds its way into southern Nevada, will drop the temperature to the lower 80s on Tuesday with morning lows in the 50s, a few breezes as well. You'll walk outside and you'll say, now this is why we like October. After you endure the summer, you like that break in the heat.
This is why we like October. See, I'm already seeing it.
Very good. Well, you boy,
practicing.
This programming thing works.
Mantra.
Didn't work when you were working across the street.
Come on, let's not talk about that. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, we move on. Ethical questions have surrounded the Clark County Recorder for months. Tonight, what one group is doing about those questions.
Plus, in tonight's Eye on Entertainment, while the men golfed, the women shopped. Kate Maddox will have more on that story.
And I'm Chris Maathuis, live at the Orlean Arena, where tonight they drop the puck on professional hockey. And you got to ask yourself, what kind of commitment does this arena have to this level of hockey? The answer is coming up. Plus, the Rebels in Colorado Springs for their conference opener. Sports is next right here on Channel 8. Alrighty, and we welcome you back to the Orlean Arena, home of the Las Vegas Wranglers. After a 4-year absence, professional hockey is back in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Wranglers play an exhibition game tonight against Bakersfield. And joining me now is one of the guys who helped bring professional hockey back to Las Vegas, and here's Steve Stallworth. And Steve, let me ask you, it's been a lot of hard work, but finally it's paying off, and they're playing tonight, exhibition.
Oh, Chris, it's unbelievable. I mean, I think it's pretty well documented, everything we went through to get to this point tonight, but we're thrilled to death. The building looks great. The ice is working, and the players are here, so we're excited to be here, and we can't wait to share it with everybody in Las Vegas.
Now, I know you've sold some season tickets. You got an NHL-sized rink here. Everything worked out the way you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the hockey team has done a great job in the community. I mean, they've sold a ton of season tickets. You know, they're really gearing up for their opening game on the 21st. And you know, the nice thing, Chris, we've been open about 4 or 5 months now, so we've really kind of gotten to work out all the bugs, and we're ready for hockey. We're excited about it.
This was one of the things that you really wanted to do, was to bring hockey into this Orleans arena.
Well, it's hard to believe it was only 4 years ago, but I think everybody in the community knows that the Thunder had some level of success, and we really felt that hockey could make it in Vegas, and we still believe that. And you know, we're excited, and Michael Gaughan put his money where his mouth was, and I think you can see, Chris, the arena is just absolutely gorgeous, and we're excited to have hockey back.
All right, thank you very much. That's Steve Stallworth, the manager of the Orleans Arena here. Let's talk a little football. The Rebels are in Colorado Springs for the big contest against the Air Force Falcons that kick off tomorrow at noon. Oh, it should be a great one, a great matchup. When you have the Falcons come into town, you know it's always going to be tough, and that's what John Robinson says.
It's a fun place to play, and they're classy people here, so it is a positive experience, and their team is always very good. So it's sometimes not a pleasant experience in terms of the outcome, but it's a great football Saturday.
All right, and the last time UNLV played at the Springs, it was all UNLV. The Rebels won it 34-10. Hey, it's cut-down day at the Las Vegas Invitational, from the Highlands to the TPC courses. One guy who won't have to worry about the cut, Jerry Kelly, hit 8 straight birdies, and this is for Eagle. Kelly 18 under par, yet he's not in the lead. What does the guy have to do to shoot himself into the lead? How about Steve Flesch to go 22 under par? You can shoot in the low 60s and still not have the lead. Flesch and Scott Verplank are leading this thing at 23 under par. They continue through the weekend, but tonight it's hockey at the Orleans Arena. We'll have more for you tonight. And coming up in 25 minutes, reporting from the Orleans, Chris Maathuis, Eyewitness Sports. Back to you.
Looks like fun.
Yeah, let's really get it all balled up there.
Thanks, Chris.
More news straight ahead on Channel 8 Eyewitness News Live at 6:30. The county recorder facing some pretty serious questions about her ethics tonight. What one group is doing about those questions.
Plus, one of the most important awards went out to one person today. Meet the newest Nobel Peace Prize winner.
And in tonight's Eye on Entertainment, while celebrity husbands hit the links, they hit the stores. Kate Maddox has that story.
You're watching the news leader, Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 6:30 with Paula Francis, Gary Waddell, neighborhood weather with Kevin Janison, and sports with Dave McCann. Channel 8 Eyewitness News, the news leader.
Thanks for staying with us. For months, Clark County Recorder Frances Dean has been under close scrutiny for claims that she violated ethics.
Well, today the Service Employees Union announced it's filing a complaint with the State Ethics Commission. The union's also calling for her resignation. Channel 8 Eyewitness News reporter Casey Roebuck has details.
We are filing this complaint on behalf of our union members and the public because we believe Ms. Dean has violated a basic tenet of public trust in discharge of her duties.
Mark Stodick represents local members of the Service Employees International Union, in particular those who work in the office of County Recorder Frances Dean. The union is sending a complaint to the State Ethics Commission, claiming that Dean committed at least 7 different ethics violations. Among the allegations, her employees say they were ordered to give title companies preferential treatment over the public.
And as time went on, more demands were being made by the employees to do things that weren't completely fair to the public because they were giving favor to the title companies.
She's allowed her employees, or directed her employees, to waive fees for title companies, which general public is not entitled to do. She has cut phone service to the public and still allowed the title companies to continue with service.
The complaint also claims Dean has allowed documents to pile up.
All these allegations violate the law. We're here to put a stop to it. We're asking that Ms. Dean resign now, today.
In response, Dean issued a written statement saying, "Since taking office in January of this year, I have utilized new procedures to improve complete customer service as well as increase employee morale. I have given complete attention to addressing valid complaints from the previous administration, and I will continue to process and record documents to the best of my ability." Dean also tells us she will cooperate with the ethics investigation. Casey Roebuck, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
County Manager Tom Riley issued this statement in response to all that. The concerns in the recorder's office have been well documented. The Ethics Commission is the appropriate venue to address these matters, and we have confidence that it will handle the complaint appropriately.
A jury found Metro officers justified in the shooting death of a Las Vegas man. Police say the man lunged at them with a knife during a fight at Desert Breeze Park last month. A convenience store clerk testified the man who was shot, Charles Rory, was drunk when he robbed the Chevron station at Durango and Spring Mountain on September 8th. And the clerk said Rory threatened police with a foot-long knife. He also testified that Rory continued approaching officers even after those officers told him to stop. Police are looking for a homeless man in connection with a murder last night on the Strip. The murder happened near the Westward Ho in the parking lot of a nearby McDonald's. Police say the suspect and the victim fought before one stabbed the other to death. The victim was also a homeless man.
A federal judge has ordered a Las Vegas hotel to rehire a cook fired because of union activities. The judge is ordering the Palms to reinstate Martin Perez. He was dismissed in January of 2002. The hotel must also repay income Perez lost after he was fired. The culinary union says the Palms is anti-union. Hotel management insists it only follows federal laws. UNLV students will have to pay $60 more next spring. The money will go to building the new $50 million recreation center and for upgrades to the student union. The Board of Regents upheld the fee increase during yesterday's board meeting. Radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh confirmed that he is addicted to painkillers.
Here are tonight's top national stories. Limbaugh told radio listeners today that he will check himself into a rehab immediately.
I'm not a victim, and I'm not going to portray myself as a victim. I'm not going to allow anybody to portray myself as a victim. I take full responsibility for this problem.
Reports of Limbaugh's possible drug abuse first surfaced in tabloids. It was reported that the conservative radio talk show host abused OxyContin and other painkillers. He says that chronic pain in his neck and back led to his addiction.
2 American soldiers died today. U.S. officials say Iraqis ambushed the troops from the 1st Armored Division while they were on patrol. Iraqis say the Americans shot first. 2 Iraqis also died in that shootout. Thousands of people crowded the street for their funeral today. Meanwhile, Vice President Dick Cheney defended the war in Iraq, saying it was part of the war on terror.
Last year, SARS caused many illnesses and deaths across the globe. As temperatures change, many doctors are worried about another outbreak. Researchers are working on a way to stop the disease. University of Massachusetts Medical School researchers produced antibodies against SARS. If doctors can isolate the cell that is producing the SARS antibody, they'll be much closer to stopping an outbreak.
One of the world's most prestigious awards was handed out today, the Nobel Peace Prize, given to a woman, a lawyer, and an Iranian. And that's not 3 separate people, but one, Shireen Ebadi. Scott Rappaport introduces us to the prize winner with a personal motto: you can be a Muslim and at the same time have human rights.
For most of her life, she's been known as an Iranian lawyer, passionate about defending human rights and promoting democracy. Now, for the rest of her life, 56-year-old Shireen Ebadi will be known as a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
I'm shocked because I didn't imagine that I will win.
Ebadi was awarded the 2003 honor this morning in Oslo, Norway. The Peace Prize Committee of 5 choosing her from a field of candidates that included Pope John Paul II, President George Bush, British Prime Minister Tony Blair, and U2 rock star Bono.
She has stood up as a sound professional, a courageous person, and has never heeded the threats to her own safety.
Ebadi is famous for being the first female judge in Iran, a position she had to resign in 1979 when conservative Islamic clerics took control of the country and put severe restrictions on the role of women in society. She was arrested and spent 3 weeks in jail in 2000. Still, Ebadi never gave up the fight for women's rights, making her honor today a crowning achievement.
And I think it is significant that she is also the first Islamic woman to win the award.
An example for every woman she spent her life trying to help. Scott Rappaport, CBS News, New York.
The man you just saw there, UN Secretary Kofi Annan, won last year's Nobel Peace Prize. Muslims in Vegas have a new place to worship. The Islamic Society of Nevada opened an expanded mosque today on Desert Inn Road. It has room for about 1,000 people at once during religious services. That makes the mosque the biggest Islamic center in the state. Members of the Islamic Society say the growing community here just needs a bigger place to worship.
The Muslim community of Las Vegas is really excited about that, and also we need this expansion because of the growing needs of increasing Muslim population in Las Vegas.
The opening of the new mosque coincides with the first Quran conference in Las Vegas.
Men and women play to their stereotypical strengths. As the men golf and the women shop, Kate Maddox will show us how those two sports mixed.
And Kevin Janison will show us what the weekend weather forecast should look like. Stay with us. Shopping and golf, they don't often go together, but this week they did.
Who says? Kate Maddox joins us with the connection in tonight's Eye on Entertainment.
You gotta love how women can always bring shopping to whatever arena they need to do.
Always possible.
Gotta respect that, exactly. So what do the wives of the men, both pros and amateurs, playing in this week's Las Vegas Invitational do while the golf drags on hole after hole, day after day? They play their own version of the game.
Playing at the TBC at the Canyons.
While their spouses sweat it out at the Las Vegas Invitational, there's another kind of 18 holes being played in Las Vegas. The LVI Ladies Shopping Tour was put on by the Fashion Show Mall, Neiman Marcus, and the Las Vegas Invitational. About 60 ladies blew off the course and hit 18 shops, earning points and spending serious cash.
A birdie is if one of the ladies buys an item in that store. A par is if we visit the store but we don't buy anything. And an eagle is if every single lady on the team, there are 4 of us on the team, if each of us buys something.
And just as in real competitions, scorecards are tallied and prizes are awarded. Most of the PGA Tour wives spend weeks on the road touring with their husbands, so many said this chance to compete on their terms was a refreshing new twist.
This was lovely. This is something out of the ordinary and very memorable.
The ladies' game kicked off and they had just an hour and a half to shop and pick up holes, then check in and cool off with a lunch at Neiman Marcus. Hey, do their husbands know about this part? And of course, afterwards, they'll drop the shops and head to the greens to support their spouses on this very prestigious Las Vegas PGA event.
No, we don't. We leave our husbands to the golf and we look after children and do whatever else we have to do.
They take care of business on the course and we take care of business
off the course, that's right.
Taking care of business, if that's what you want to call it. The Las Vegas Invitational runs through Sunday at the TPC Canyons, TPC Southern Highlands, and TPC Summerlin. At last check, Shona Pappas, the woman who was talking, her husband Dean was still playing, but it looked like he will make the cut for the weekend. So hopefully he'll be able to afford her spending. Oh, and Gloria Estefan is here this weekend. She kicks off, or this whole week. She kicks off tonight. I want to remind everybody about that.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kate.
Alrighty.
Well, those women are going to want to move their shopping outdoors pretty soon because the weather has been looking pretty good, getting cooler out there.
Yeah, they'll have to leave Neiman Marcus and go to the value mall there because most of that's outdoors where the freeways interchange there. Hey, we have some great weather coming up our way this weekend. We'll start near Rainbow at 95 at Adcock Elementary. They're at 83 degrees. No wind to speak of. Near the Maryland Parkway and Silverado Ranch, still 90 degrees there. Boulder City comes in at 79 and it's 83 over near Washington and Mount Hood on the east side of the valley with a little breeze blowing at 7 miles per hour right now. It's 85 near Eastern and Charleston, 79 as we showed you, downtown Henderson. And the west side of town also cooling into the upper 70s. The mountain's already down to 51 degrees. It's 65 up in Rachel, along with some aliens, and the Laughlin area checks in at 86. How about high temperatures from around the west today? And I'll tell you, the thick cloud cover and the rain in and around the Phoenix area kept them to only 80 degrees. The Grand Canyon had more sunshine. They made it all the way up to 73. Denver hit 81, and it's starting to feel like fall up in Reno. They had a high temperature of 63. If you want even cooler air, go farther to the north. Current temperatures in the mid-40s. 30s in parts of Montana, and in the higher elevations, they even had a trace of snow around Glacier National Park earlier today. A few showers in the southeast, the snow barely showing up. You can see the areas of pink and white over the mountains up there in the mountains of northwestern Montana. A lot more of that to come over the next few months. As far as we're concerned, for the most part, we were clear. We've got a dry cold front slicing through Nevada. That was responsible for dropping us one notch temperature-wise. Instead of being in the 90s, now we're in the 80s, and we'll find ourselves in the low 80s early next week when this front moves on through. Even though the bulk of this energy is going to go way to the north, the tail will slice through Nevada early next week, and that'll knock the temperature down maybe even to the lower 80s for a high on Tuesday. On your Friday night, though, we've got to get through the weekend first. 65 degrees underneath that bright full moon tonight. Tomorrow we'll back up to 88. Some neighborhoods will probably still sneak into the lower 90s. The lake will make it into the lower 90s. The water's still in the upper 70s, but that will start to change this weekend, especially with these cooler mornings. Speaking of which, Mount Charleston will bottom out at 41. And a look ahead at your 7-day forecast now. We're looking for these temperatures to tickle the 90-degree mark on Sunday, then start backing off by the middle of next week. Highs in the 80s, lows in the upper 50s. This truly is weather to write home to mom about, and I'm proud to present it to you for your weekend.
That's verging on hockey weather.
Just about. Just about.
Well, almost.
Yeah. Speaking of, someone decided to head indoors where temperatures are cooler at the New Orleans or the Orleans Arena. Chris Maathuis.
That's right, a little cool inside. They dropped the puck. That's right, we're talking hockey. They dropped the puck with the Las Vegas Wranglers at the city's newest ice rink. We'll come back and talk with the vice president of the Las Vegas Wranglers. Plus, Lem Banker will be along to hopefully win you some money with his football pick. Sports is next right here on Channel 8. All righty, we welcome you back to the Orleans Arena, where in about 15 minutes they will drop the puck and hockey will officially be back in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Wranglers playing an exhibition game tonight against Bakersfield. Joining me now live to talk a little bit about the Wranglers is the vice president of Las Vegas, the Wranglers. Here's Billy Johnson. And let me ask you a first question. How has the community received this team?
I tell you what, it's been fantastic. We got a mighty staff of about 22 people, and we've spent this entire summer going face-to-face, handshake to handshake, selling season tickets. By the time we open, we should be kissing about 2,000 season tickets, and tonight's a great kickoff. Great kickoff leading into opening day on the 21st.
21st of October, this team officially kicks off its season. I know you got a lot of special things planned for that opening night.
We got a lot of special things, and we're under some pressure. This is Las Vegas, man, so we got to put on a pretty good show. On opening night, we did confirm today that the Blue Man Group will be doing the national anthem, which is kind of cool to see that in percussion, and we got the light show ready. We're not going to get into it tonight, kind of going half speed tonight just to see how the building works for us.
All right, that's Billy Johnson. Thank you very much for joining us, and good luck with the Las Vegas Wranglers, who are back on ice tonight at 7:05. Finally, here to jumpstart your football weekend is our good friend, sports bettor, Lem Banker.
I'm back with Checkers. Hey, gang, we're going to give you 5 colleges, 5 pro. Tonight, if you got nothing to do, between 9 and 10, I'll be at the Starters Hotel Sportsbook, handicapping against a real good, young, talented guy, Ken White. So come on over. It's for nothing. There's plenty of seating, and you'll have some fun. I'll have some pretty good jokes. You ready, gang? Let's go. Colleges. We're going to go with good bet Notre Dame against Pittsburgh. Also, game I like quite a bit, Penn State against Purdue. Incidentally, Penn State, Sam Angel's alma mater. I mean, the state Penn, yeah, but Penn State I like over Purdue. Let's go to Colorado against Kansas. Texas A&M against Baylor. And if you're late game, Hawaii over Fresno State. And the pros, we're going to give you 5 pros, right, Checkers? Okay. We're going to go with the Green Bay Packers against the Kansas City Chiefs. Miami Dolphins against the Jacksonville Jaguars. New Orleans Saints haven't won a game. New Orleans against Chicago Bears. Pittsburgh Steelers against the Denver Broncos. And Monday, if we're still in action and alive, we're going to take the Atlanta Falcons. You get about 11, 12 points against the St. Louis Rams. Right, Checkers? Hey, let me tell you what happened. My pal Sam Angel, you know, he sells watches. Most of them don't work. He sold a watch to this cocktail waitress, and the darn thing didn't work. And he's all bent over. I said, Sam, what happened? What happened? She got even with him. She put crazy glue in his preparation age, and he's walking around bent over. The Starters tonight between 9 and 10. Right, Checkers?
All right, thank you very much, Lem. Don't forget tonight, hockey right here at the Orleans Arena. The Las Vegas Wranglers taking on Bakersfield. Highlights for you tonight at 11 o'clock. Guys, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
'Tis the season for massive pumpkins. See how one couple gets their pumpkin to put on the pounds.
Here are some of the stories we're working on for Eyewitness News tonight, live at 11. Downtown redevelopment, a big issue in Las Vegas, but some wonder what it'll really take to clean up the area. Hear what 2 local developers want to see downtown. Plus, the future of employees in the Siegfried Roy show is now revealed. Find out why it's not just that show's employees now facing job cuts. Those stories, plus all your late-breaking news, tonight at 11.
Well, you know it's fall when the leaves change color, when the temperatures drop eventually, and when the giant pumpkins start appearing. The annual World Championship Pumpkin Way Off gets underway next week in Half Moon Bay, California. Farmer John and his wife Ida are getting ready for the big event. They have 40 pumpkins they are working on getting gigantic. Right now they have a 525-pound pumpkin. The pair say they have a secret potion that they give the vegetables through drip system, much like an IV.
Enormous. I wonder if when they're that big, they're actually good to eat, you know, when you take the meal out of the inside.
I think so. Yeah.
There'd be a lot of pumpkin pies in a pumpkin like that.
That's it for Channel 8 Eyewitness News Live at 6. Entertainment Tonight is up next.
And of course, we'll see you tonight at 11. Have a good evening.